The topic for discussion is advertising and its effectiveness. Every business organization, it will be aiming at all the efforts towards mainly achievement of the business profits and increase of the market share and other objectives like giving all the benefit, maximum benefit to the stakeholders. In the background of all these efforts, it is an attempt to attract the customer towards the product through advertising. So, advertising campaign is over. A need generally arises to measure the effectiveness of that campaign, and it has achieved the desired results. For instance, desired profitability, desired sales, and also in terms of change in customer behavior in favor of the company's product, naturally will affect the future use of the product and future sale of the product. There are certain variables. Message variable. Advertising message in a printed form to be tested, it would be the headline, illustration, body text, layout, typography, individually as well as severally. And television commercials. The variables are tested: appeal, theme, proposition, style, audio visual device, and a format of illustration technique, tagging, casting, music, sound effect. Now, secondly, media variables. Media testing opportunity, it can be considered under 4 heads. Advertiser, he must decide the type of media like newspaper, magazine, television, radio or direct mail. Now, advertiser, he must decide the subclasses of media. That means he want to use a kind of newspaper, that is daily newspaper or weekly newspaper or evening and morning newspaper, like that. Now, what kind of magazines? General magazine or women magazine or healthcare magazine or children magazines, sports. Now, advertiser, he must also select the media vehicle, that is newspaper in Mumbai, newspaper in other parts of the country, like that, or television channels in Delhi, or what is the media mix to be used. Now, lastly, he must also determine the space. he has to use full page, half page, quarter page, or or as per his availability of the fund. Next comes the time, 60 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds, how much seconds he is going to produce the appeal in the print media as well as television. So, next variable comes as a scheduling variable. That means consumer, he is generally influenced by the time factor. Now, season of the year. For example, Dashara, Diwali, he will be expecting discounts will be given or some coupons are given. So, during the festival season. Now, a day or a month is decided, and during that period, the sales are to be accounted for. Then advertising during those periods, special advertising campaigns are to be formed. Timing of commercial, it should not be too lengthy, but frequently shown, and continuity of the appealing public in advertising on television, it will also be encouraging for the increase of sales. That has a more effective on increase of sales and attracting the more and more customers. Now, budget variable, it also affects the advertising variable. How much money should they spend? And total amount of money to be allocated to market, to media, to sales territory, and so on. So advertiser, he must measure the relationship between budget variable and profit yield. So now, in order to measure the effectiveness, an advertising copy, two types of tests like pre-test, post-test, that can be undertaken. Pre-test is generally conducted in the beginning of the creation process, or at the end of the creation process, or during the production stage. Now, there are several pre and post test techniques to measure the effectiveness of the advertising copy, like by giving different addresses to different media, and by different newspapers selected, and advertisement by different departments. Now, coupon issues, they provide with the advertisement. Now, inquiry from customers, they mention the name and source of the information. So these are the techniques for knowing the advertising, say how effectively that will have the results. Now, so measuring effectiveness advertising include measuring the campaign, copy, and individual media. Now, what is the importance of knowing the effectiveness of advertising? Because we have to increase awareness. So, testing of advertising will show whether there is an increased influence of the message, product, service advertised or not. Now, testing enables advertiser to aware the reasons why advertising has effective or otherwise. Now, effect attitude. So, testing enable advertiser to know whether the attitude of prospect towards the product or service has been changed or not. That we will know regarding the increase of sales or increase the number of unit sales in a particular region. Now, actuate action. That means testing enables the advertiser to analyze the response by the prospect. Then it gives sponsorer an idea when, how, why a customer accept a particular product or he reject a particular product. So this will help the sponsorer to present the product in such a manner, and it takes favorable or positive action. Now, we have to judge overall effectiveness. So testing helps the advertiser in judging of the total effectiveness of a particular advertisement in a particular locality. Headline with the layout, copy, illustration, and quality is more important with the within the advertisement. Now, it also affects the safety measure. So, testing effectiveness of advertising helps finding out ineffective advertisement and the effective advertisement campaign. So it facilitates timely adjustments and to make the consumer oriented and result oriented. So the waste of money in faulty advertising can be avoided, and it also provides feedback. Testing effectiveness of advertising, it provides useful information to the advertiser to take remedial steps against ineffective advertisements. Now, possible failures. Advertisers, they are not sure of the result from a particular region or particular campaign. So, evaluating the effectiveness helps in estimating the results in order to avoid a complete loss. And the investment in advertising. Expenditure in advertising is considered as investment. So, the investment in advertising is a marketing investment, and its objective is to be spelled out clearly, indicating the results expected from the campaign. So the rate and size of the return should be determined in advance. So the expected rate of return, it is achieved in terms of additional profits or then it will be considered as an effective advertising. Now, communication, it can be measured on the target consumers or audience. So, main purpose of advertising is communication with the public, existing and prospective. So, it enables or desirable to seek the post measurement of advertising in order to determine whether advertising has been seen or heard, or in other words, whether they have been communicated the theme, message or appeal correctly. Now compare in two markets. So advertising is released in test markets. They are contrasted with each other. Now markets are controlled markets. So regular advertising program and measures made to determine the result may be change in sales, change in consumer attitude, changes in the dealer display, etc. So thus we know how effectively the advertising has been done. Now, advertising is aimed at improving the sales volume of a concern. Now, how methods or measures are adopted by the advertising campaign. Now, direct measures, they are like a comparison of sales of two markets or two periods that may be done. So, corresponding change may be noted. Now, like this can be done by the historical sales method. Some insights, they are developed in the past, and they may be obtained by measuring the relation between the present and past. So this can be one. Then multiple regression analysis of the advertisement and sales turnover. They are from time periods are calculated. And secondly, experimental control method. So this method, it gives a causal relationship between advertising and sales established. So it is quite expensive, but the results may be good, appearing or appealing. So this can be done by pre-testing to advertising aid and create designs, media schedules, expenditure levels, or some of the combinations of these. Then the advertising decision can be taken, or combination can be utilized or used. Then one experimental approach is sales effectiveness and advertising in test marketing. So this can be more experimental method of advertising. Then post and pre-campaign sales in cities that can be seen in the advertising results. Now, multivariable or experimental designs, they are found to be accurate estimate of the effect of advertising on sales. So it is not successful in explaining the failure or success of the campaign itself. So multivariable designs, they produce these explanations. The power of multivariable factorial design, that is actually generally seen by any single medium. There are 8 geographical areas. Single medium exposed to 8 geographical areas. And this method is possible to evaluate how each individual or medium behaves alone in all possible combinations. Now, second, indirect measure. Indirect measure means there are so many uncertainties. So, to measure, most of the firms, they heavily use indirect measures. Means they do not evaluate the effect of advertising directing the sales or profits, but other factors like customer awareness, attitude of customer, and customer recalling of advertising message, and other goals other than increase of sales or increase of profits. Then comprehension. Comprehension, customers, they are generally use advertising as a means of obtaining information about the product, brand or the manufacturer. So this cannot be informed unless they comprehend the message or grasp the message mentally and understood it fully. So that means the test for evaluating the compensation or must be comprehension must be available. One is recall test. It is an indicator of comprehension. It is evident that all customers recall what they comprehend. That means what they listen, they will understand and they will try and act upon this. So another measure of variability, asking question, what they comprehend, asking questions how much they have understood a message and they have recently heard or seen. So one may employ somewhat imprecise test of comprehension. Newspaper, it's correct, or radio, it's correct, like that. So one may ask typical target consumers from time to time, like, what did you think of the new commercial? And did it get the message across? Like this. Some of the questions they are asked to some customers, and then they will understand how much comprehensively they could deliberately give the appeal. Now, brand awareness. Marketers usually appraise the effectiveness by customers' awareness about a particular brand. Then this assumption or this type of measure, it has a direct relationship between advertising and awareness, and it is subject to same criticism as applicable to direct measure of effectiveness. So few products, the change in awareness can be often attributed to be the influence of advertising. Now, attitude change. Since advertising is considered to be one way of influencing the state of mind of audience towards a product or service or organization. So the results are very often measured in terms of attitude among groups exposed to this communication. Several measures are used, ranging from asking questions about the willingness of customer to buy the product or likelihood of the buying. So there are specific attributes known, such as some of the modern and some of the new techniques, some of the traditional techniques. So attitude, how the attitude of consumer is changing towards the new advertised product. Now, action. The objective of advertising is to know the action of the customers. So how to stimulate the action or behavior of customers. So this is intended to measure on the intention to buy. So this type of measure, consumers are asked to respond why they are interested in purchasing the product. If they ask, the responses may be some are effectively and some are ineffectively. These questions are put on to consumers. So, but it is an attempt to induce a buying behavior. These are some of the methods and variables that are explained to know the effectiveness of advertising, and which may be helping the marketers to understand and what may be the advertising effectiveness in respect to or for respective marketers or businessmen or business organizations. Thank you.